Well, hello everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola. Welcome to Positively Osceola Live. And we often say that we are the most blessed bunch around because we have such great friends in the community and certainly just have a chance to speak to people about their expertise and how they're integral in the community's happenings and so much great activity happening. You know, it's summer, but so things shift a little bit, and we all know some people are on vacation, and but businesses and organizations are still hard at it and making sure people are taken care of in the county. And today we have a great friend of Positively Osceola's, and that's from Draper Law Office, the attorney today with us, Miss Michelle Incandela. And how are you, ma'am?
Good morning. Good morning, Keith. Good morning, Osceola. I'm doing great.
The sun is shining upon you this morning, I see, literally.
I decided to channel my wicked and go a little green today.
That's great, great. So, how's life in the fast lane?
Life is good. Life is good. Happy to be here as always.
Well, we're honored to have you, and I know we want to get right at it because folks have been asking about this particular topic, and it hits us all. I mean, you know, everybody depending, you know, not depending where you are in the county, it's everybody, and whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a renter, whether you're driving vehicles or not driving vehicles, we pretty much know in Florida that insurance has been a main topic. Lots of changes, as we've talked about it before. The Florida legislature certainly making some changes, and they affect things. And so today we're going to talk about that from a legal perspective and maybe just a common sense perspective as well. So why don't you go ahead and take it away from your perspective, the legal side of it, but go ahead and give us the 30-second speech on Draper Law Office, please.
So, yeah, I'm happy to. Draper Law Office, we've been here since 1984. We specialize in personal injury and family law, so we help people who are going through divorces and custody issues. And also, Charlie and myself are attorneys that help people put their lives back together after they've been involved or a family member's been involved in an accident. So, you know, still here, still going strong, and happy to be here to help people in Osceola. Always available if anybody needs us. And yeah, so happy to be here this morning to talk about something that is unfortunately affecting so many of us and not in a good way. And I will say that, you know, I've said on the show before that the changes that have been proposed to, you know, fix our rates in the state, I completely disagree that they're going to do anything to fix the insurance rates issues that we're all dealing with. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think anybody is going to see this decrease in rates that were promised when they enacted, the governor and the legislature enacted this recent tort reform. That was kind of under the guise of, we're going to do all these things and it's going to help your insurance rates. But actually what it ended up doing, and it's another show altogether, I won't go into too many details about that, but it took away a lot of rights of policyholders and people in the state, and basically gave the insurance company a windfall of things that they've wanted for many, many years that just allows them to make increased profits. So I don't think we're going to see any relief at all from what's been proposed. And I know we get calls frequently in the past couple of weeks saying, hey, I've got a bill. My insurance used to be $1,300. Now my insurance is going up to $5,000, $6,000. And they're predicting increases of about 40% over the next year. So it's something that's definitely hitting all of us. Citizens, which is the state-run insurance company, is seeing increases in policyholders of ridiculous numbers. So it's not a good situation for any of us. And I guess what everybody really wants to know is, what can we do about it? Right. Unfortunately, there's no quick fix on our end. And I think that in order to for them to come to a place where you don't have these problems, it needed to be worked on long, long ago. The insurance companies needed to be had stricter regulations years ago, and they've unfortunately been able to run them up. Now we have all sorts of problems. So with hurricane season approaching, we're in hurricane season. Sure. It's too late for any of us to make any changes that will be effective for hurricane season. They're real savvy about that. So if there's any changes that are going to be made to your policy, it needs to be done before storm season occurs. And so now might not be the time for people to think about switching, but it's certainly a good time to reach out to an agent. And I recommend reaching out to an agent that deals with multiple companies. So sit down. Nobody likes dealing with their insurance policies. Nobody likes reading, even like reading them. But set aside some time to go through your auto, your home, and see if you can sit down with an agent, make a telephone consult. Everybody does everything virtually nowadays, so you don't really probably have to go into anyone's office, but reach out to an agency that deals with multiple policies and say, look, I'm concerned and I want to try to do what I can to get my rates as low as possible. Sometimes that's bundling policies, your home and your car. I mean, your home and your car. And sometimes it's switching around the coverages, and sometimes it's changing companies. So, Keith, I don't know how often you look at your insurance policy. I tend not to look at mine as frequently as I should, but it is something we should do on a yearly basis, and certainly every other year, just to shop around those rates. So the good news, and unfortunately, some people are getting notices that their insurance company is no longer offering policies in Florida,
Right.
and they have to switch. Farmers is not writing policies. I think AAA just announced that they're not writing policies.
Sectors.
And then a couple of the smaller companies have actually gone under. So I think Windhaven is one of them. United Auto is one of them. So when you're looking for a policy, when you're looking to do that replacement or that switch, I would say you want to go with one of the more stable companies. Try to avoid the smaller companies. If you've never heard of the name of it, try to avoid it, because those tend to be the companies that go under first, the ones that don't have the standing and the holding that the larger ones do. And if you do have a policy, or if you have somebody, certainly if you're insured with Farmers or if you're insured with AAA, you want to reach out to an agent sooner rather than later, because I'm not sure if they're canceling all of the policies or just some of the existing ones. When I say canceling, I mean that they're not going to renew your policy when your policy comes up for renewal. So you want to have that backup plan in place.
You know, one of the concerns I have is for the senior sector of our community, right? My mom's in her 90s, and I mean, we all can do this. I mean, like you said, we're not. Most people don't go, geez, let me go just run through all my insurance policies and see where I'm at, making sure the coverages are correct. You do need an agent that you can trust if you're not doing it online. You know, for those of us who have senior citizens that are family members, my mom, like I said, going through their policies, because I know my mom had a policy that was way past what she needed. And so that was a way of saving, you know, auditing your policies rather, certainly a wise move. And, you know, doing it ahead of time, like you said, right now, tough time to make that happen. I know UPC is another one that left the state, and we had UPC. So we were forced into that change mode, ended up at Citizens, which is, like you said, it's supposed to be insurance of last resort. Certainly not the case right now. I can't call it that anymore. Well over 1 million policyholders in Florida. So they're going to have to fix something. So probably a word to the wise would be, you know, as you said, take a look at what you've got, set aside some time, and then speak to somebody, like you said, not a small company. Well, we could talk about that for an hour and a half, no question. Great information you're sharing.
Keith, I just want to advise people of one more thing when they're looking at switching those coverages. The reason why I also recommend it's better to talk to an agent as opposed to just popping online and going through, I'm going to go through Geico, is that the agents have a better understanding of what coverages there are, and most people don't understand exactly what coverages they're purchasing. So again, I'm gonna jump on the uninsured motorist bandwagon, but certainly if we're looking at reviewing policies and we're going to bundle and we're going to switch, you know, companies, want to make sure you have that uninsured motorist coverage in Florida, because that's the protection for you and your family if you're involved in an accident that's not your fault and the other person doesn't have any or doesn't have enough insurance. And because it's not required in Florida, a lot of people don't carry bodily injury. So I want to make sure that you have that coverage in there, any changes that you make. And just be very careful that when you're switching policies, some people do need the coverages. And when you switch from one to another, you've got to make sure that it's apples to apples and that you're not losing precious coverages. I know there's a couple of people who have switched and said, oh, I got so much of a better rate from this company. I couldn't say no. But when I looked at the policies, well, yeah, because you cut all of these coverages that are really important for you to have. So that's the last thing I'll say, but just be real careful and make sure that you work with someone that's going to tell you exactly what those coverages mean to you.
Yeah, it's everything. It's like you said, you can drive your rate down to a beautiful number, but that doesn't cover what you need. And
it won't be there when you need it. Yes, exactly.
I know it's tempting to say, "Gosh, I'm a safe driver. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be fine," but that's not what it's about. It's about the other guy. So, well said on your part. And I know we're also at that point crazy. Like I said, we should do another one where we really step through those coverages. I know I asked you some questions when I made my changes. So this time of the year, we're also thinking about our kids, if we have kids that are going back to school, and some of those, some of the details involved with that, we should probably talk about for a few minutes. If you got a couple more minutes, we can do this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll let you know that I am no longer a first-time college parent, but I know a lot of people this year are just about getting ready to send their kids off to college for the first time, and a good number of them are going out of state. And I'll just prepare the parents for issues that I had that I was not prepared for, and I'm an attorney. But when your child goes away to college, if they are 18, they are an adult. And a lot of our 18-year-old children are adults legally, but I know some of my precious little bunnies are not even capable of, they'll ask questions like, do I have a social security number? What's that? So they're not quite at the point where they're able to handle all of their affairs and everything that needs to be done to deal with financial aid and health benefits and all those sorts of things. So warning, when you as the parent call the college to talk about something that relates to your 18-year-old child, whether it's financial aid or, hey, there's a problem with the account, or how does these meal plans work, or, I have a question about the bill, they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to talk to you because your child is an adult. So likewise, God forbid, if there's some sort of an accident or an illness and your child gets taken to an emergency room and you call to find out how your child is, they are not going to talk to you because your child is an adult and they're not going to release that information. So there's certain forms that you guys want to have in place. Certainly want to have a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy form, and they're very simple. There's lots of different places you can get them, and I can help you. If you have any questions, you can call my office and we can get you to the right place for those. But take a look at that, do some online research, and there's a lot of information out there, but do yourself a favor and have these documents in place before your child gets to college, because I cannot tell you how important it is. And how much trouble that will save you, even just dealing with financial offices, because a lot of the times the parents are paying the bill and they have questions about the accounting and the school's not going to speak to them.
Yeah, I think that's one of those moments where, again, if you don't sit down ahead of time and really thoroughly think about it, it's a different thing to have one of your kiddos no longer under the roof and
right.
your own. You think you've got that. You still think, I know I look at mine and he's 22 and I think, gosh, but they're 22. They are legal adults, and it's
right.
for real. So great info. I know it's the problem is when there are so many other things to think about before you take your kid. If your child's going into a different area, that there is so many things to think about. That's maybe not one, right?
It's overwhelming. I mean, just packing. I remember when because my daughter goes to school in New York, and the first time that we got her ready to leave, it was just chaos in the weeks before, packing for the dorm room and the flights and loading up the minivan and renting the car and scheduling the move in. It's overwhelming. And so sometimes the last thing that we think about is those forms. So it's a good time to do it before the active packing starts. A lot of you have already started packing and dorm shopping and have the piles in your living room or on your dining room table already. But it's not too late now to do it. It doesn't take a lot of time, but that is definitely one of the things that you want to put on that checklist, is to make sure that you have all the proper forms in place.
Well said. Very good. Great information. I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. So changes insurance, including PI, what would be one thing that you would say to the community to encourage them to think on based on the changes that have occurred in the seat that you sit, and Charlie says, what's that one thing you would tell folks to keep in mind when it comes to maybe personal injury or anything like that? What's that one big thing?
Uninsured motorist coverage. It's always going to be uninsured motorist coverage because Florida does not require people to carry bodily injury coverage. So a lot of people, especially that move here from other states, are completely unaware of that fact because the other states require mandatory bodily injury. So they say if you're going to put a car on the road, you need to have X amount of insurance to cover injuries if you cause injuries to someone else. And that's not the case here in Florida. So be very careful of that. Be super careful when you're switching. I know a lot of people have had it in their policies. They switched companies and the new company took out the uninsured motorist coverage. They didn't even realize it. Right. And they got into an accident and $100,000 of coverage they thought was there was not. And so it's not a situation that you want to be in. So uninsured motorist coverage, uninsured motorist coverage, uninsured motorist coverage.
Right. Those big old deductibles on your health insurance plan, you realize how hard they hurt when it happens, right?
Yeah, and it's not, sometimes I've heard insurance agents, whether they're intentionally trying to mislead or whether they're just giving bad information, tell people you don't need that because you have health insurance. Please do not listen. That is not good advice. Yeah. You do need uninsured motorist coverage. That is the protection for you and your family. So folks, I know, and in order to have an uninsured motorist, you have to carry bodily injury, and nobody wants to pay more to insurance companies. I'm on board with that. I hate having to give that money for those premiums, but it is the coverage that we need. So yeah, uninsured motorist coverage, absolutely.
Yep, peace of mind for your family, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't love writing that check, but I know once I've done it, it was one of those wise decisions that you just simply have to make when you're thinking about things, right?
I think it's also, we think about in terms of ourselves, but it's also, our kids and family members in the household as well that we're protecting. So, yeah.
That's the deal. It's that one moment of decision that makes a big difference for many years to come. I want to thank you again. I know you guys are super busy, and we could talk I would love to talk for hours about all this and so much more with you. You're a great resource for folks. So I hope they'll reach out if you're hearing this and you hear it in the future. Certainly draperlawoffice.com. Call 407-846-0075. Michelle will be glad to talk to you or one of the other attorneys. And you guys do a great job. You're always active out there. You're taking care of things, and we appreciate that you're plugged into the community and where you serve.
We love this community. Happy to do it. And yes, if anyone has any questions, it doesn't have to be. People are afraid to call because they say, well, I saw you talking about uninsured motorist coverage and I had some questions, but I don't have a case, so I didn't want to call you. Just please call. We're happy to give information to help people. I'd rather take the time with someone and help them so that they don't have a problem in the long run. It's absolutely something that I'm happy to do. And so is Charlie and so is Linda. So yes, please give us a call.
Awesome. That's what organizations and businesses do that care about where they're serving. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you very much, Michelle.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone there in Osceola, and hope everybody has a wonderful day.
You as well. All right. So thanks again. And this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Michelle Incandela, an attorney at Draper Law Office, together making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Thanks, Michelle.
Bye, guys.